Center here.
I know.
All right. Hi, everyone.
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
Yes, I'm so excited on this evening. We have a wonderful guest. We'll talk about Breast Cancer Awareness Month. These ladies have experienced it. They have lived it. So I believe these are the best experts that we can have to talk about this topic for the African and African American community. My mother had breast cancer, and I remember having to learn how to drive a car because I had to get my mom to Fox Chase Cancer Center. So like I had to pass my driving test on the first try because I had to take my mom to Fox Chase. I think that's where she got her radiation treatments.
Wow, okay.
So I'm so excited to have you ladies here. We have Miss Anita T. Connor and her daughter Kerri Connor Matchett. They look familiar on TV. You've heard them on the radio. They are the tax divas. And so they also do my taxes. Thank you. So Miss Anita, Kerri, I'll let Miss Anita go first. Please tell the audience about yourself.
All right. Well, my journey started 22 years ago, God willing. And 22 years ago, after being misdiagnosed for almost 2 years, I was diagnosed with an advanced stage of breast cancer by the time they diagnosed me. And my prognosis wasn't good. As a matter of fact, the doctors had told my parents my family that, folks that had what I had at the time usually don't survive. But God is good. I'm still here to share my story. But my journey was difficult. I didn't know anything about breast cancer. 22 years ago, we didn't talk about the big C. Nobody talks about the big C. So I didn't know anything about breast cancer. And my family didn't talk about it, even though my father died of cancer. We just knew that they never shared with us as children what he was going through. So I was young when I was diagnosed. I was at 41 years old. And as a result of having a mammogram, a lump was there, and they kept telling me, oh, yeah, there's a lump there. I had an ultrasound. Oh, yeah, there's a lump there, but it's not a cancerous lump. And lo and behold, when we decided to have the lump removed, because it was just very large and bothering me, my surgeon says, you know what, I want to do a biopsy. And that's when they discovered that it was cancerous. It had started to spread through my lymph nodes. 60% of my lymph nodes were malignant. So I had to have very radical treatment. I had high dose chemotherapy, sometimes up to 10 times the standard dose, chemo running through my body 24 hours a day. I had to wear a bag. I had 2 major surgeries before, my treatments were done, and I participated in a clinical trial. So I was blessed. I was able to participate in the clinical trial and got experimental treatment for stem cell. I was one of those stem cell transplants early on. And that was a very successful process for me, and helped me to be cured from my cancer. I had about 16 to 20 weeks of radiation. I had reconstructive surgery, 10 years of preventive meds. But I am blessed and here to share my story and to help someone else. I know God spared my life so that I can help someone else. And that's why we started Praise is the Cure.
Everyone has a story. Miss Anita, I would have never known that because you don't wear your story, Miss Anita. I would have never known that.
No, I don't. I'm just here to help someone else along the way, because our community, as you know, die of greater rates than any other ethnic group, in a large part because we don't know. We don't know about the disease, in a large part because we don't have access, to mammograms and other screenings, and we don't have a support system. Particularly like a time like right now with COVID, we have a lot of young single women. They're being diagnosed with breast cancer, and they have to go through these treatments alone because no one else is allowed to go in the hospitals with them. So, we provide a support system for breast cancer patients and survivors so that they can get through this journey, them and their families. So, but I'm just blessed and I know I'm here to be an advocate and to help others along the way. So we want to reduce these disparities in our community. We have the same incidence as white women, but we die at 42% rate higher than anyone else. This must stop. We cannot continue to go. 22 years ago, we were dying at greater rates, and now today we're still dying at greater rates than any other ethnic group. So we need to be advocates. We need to be out there. I need everyone. Tell your mother, brother, your sister, your aunt, everyone about breast health.
Mm-hmm.
Kerri, please tell everyone your story.
Oh, my story really piggybacks off my mother's story because, when she was initially diagnosed, I just had graduated from Howard University and I had come home to join, the family business and to work side by side with my mother. So, when she got that diagnosis of cancer and I had to watch everything that she went through. And the doctors were very frank with us and they told us, that, her chances for survival were very slim. And that we should really prepare, for the worst when it came to her. But like we said, she was able to participate in a clinical trial. Her treatment process was very difficult to watch. She just told you probably some of the things that she went through and not everything. But as a caretaker watching that, it's very hard to watch your loved ones fight and go through this disease. But I was an advocate for my mom. And so we learned as much as we could about the disease. That's when we found out, that Black women were dying at greater rates. And that's when we started Praise is the Cure. And we started our mission on really educating, our community as to how breast cancer is affecting us. And, when my mother was 10 years cancer free, I was 33 years old and I had found a lump on my left side. And I went to the doctors and it ended up being stage 3 breast cancer at the age of 33. I had 3 masses on my left side. My cancer was aggressive and it was advanced. And the first thing I remember doing was, well, one, I was crying because I was very vain. Didn't want to lose my hair. I didn't want to lose my breasts. And I know my mom just wanted to probably knock me out at that point. But my other concern, with the oncologist, I asked the oncologist, I said, am I going to have to do all those things my mom did? Because, I didn't think I could do it. Our moms are super women. They just do so much. And I just said, I cannot do that. Like, I don't think I can do what she did. And he reassured me that, they've come a long way when it comes to breast cancer. And I told you before, my mom participated in a clinical trial, and I do believe that her participation in that clinical trial not only made my process better, but it made the process better for thousands and thousands of women. And so I do thank her for doing that. And I'm very passionate about clinical trials and trying to participate in them if we can, because they just don't know enough about Black women. But needless to say, when I was diagnosed, I had, again, an aggressive treatment plan. I had a double mastectomy. I had high-dose chemotherapy, 2 rounds of that. I had high-dose chemotherapy, then a mastectomy, then more high-dose chemotherapy, then radiation. Then I had 2 more years of chemo, 5 years of preventative meds. I did everything that the doctors told me to do. And I used to joke with the nurses and say, I know this is it for me. God's not going to give me any more obstacles, because it was really tough. And they would just smile and laugh. And, I went a while. I went a long time without a reoccurrence of cancer. And 9 years after my original diagnosis in 2017, I was re-diagnosed with stage 4 metastatic breast cancer. And the symptoms for that were so much different than, my previous symptoms. I had a cough. I thought I had a bad cold, but my lungs were constantly filling up with fluid. And because I self-diagnosed, I waited. And as my doctor would put it, like he said today, my cancer was very robust. I was in a lot of pain. I had to do.
Excuse me, Kerri. These were some of the symptoms.
Yeah, the symptoms was just a cough. So I didn't have any. I had a double mastectomy, so I didn't have any lumps or anything. And I went to the doctor because my husband made me. And when I was walking out the door, the doctor said, "You know what? I'm going to let you get a chest X-ray." And I still didn't do the chest X-ray because I wanted to do my own thing. And I said it was just a cough. And then I was leaving a client and I had trouble breathing. And I said, let me just go do this X-ray. And it wasn't even maybe a couple of hours before the doctor said, I want you to go right back to the hospital. Then my process began, and I have been on chemo ever since. It just makes me so sad that, like my mother said, that, 22 years ago when she was diagnosed with breast cancer, our women were dying at greater rates than any other ethnic group. And today we're dying at greater rates than any other ethnic group. And I have two younger daughters. I have a mom, I have aunts. And so it's very concerning to me. And then this metastatic breast cancer is really affecting younger Black women. Their first diagnosis is metastatic breast cancer. And for those of you who don't know, it's really breast cancer that's spread to other parts of the body. And currently there is no cure for that. So my mother and I are very
survival rate, Kerri? What's the survival rate for that?
So I don't know necessarily the actual survival rate percentages, but I do know that they say the median years is 3 years to live with metastatic breast cancer, and 3 to 5 years. So I'm 3 years out, and as you know, you just told me I have no disease progression as of today, but I still take chemo.
Amazing.
I still am on chemo constantly at no end. I take shots, 3 different shots a month. And so my life is very different now. And I just want to try to do something so that other women don't have to go through what I am.
So, Kerri, you have to be careful because how has this pandemic affected you? And you have to be careful because you have your children, your husband. How do you have to be careful with your health?
Mm-hmm.
And because of your you would say your immune system is being compromised.
Well, Boomy, I honestly don't feel like I'm any different from anyone else. We all should be taking these same precautions in terms of wearing a mask and doing our due diligence to keep everybody healthy. But I did get a long conversation from my oncologist today, trying to stress the importance of me really trying to be careful, because for someone like me, whose lungs are really compromised from the disease, and if I get it, it can be very dangerous. But I encourage everyone to take those precautions, because you don't know. Like, if you saw me walking down the street, you would probably think I was just fine. And you don't know what people are going through, and so you have to wear these masks and stuff to not just protect yourself, but to protect others.
Yes. So, Miss Anita, Kerri, tell us how you created Praise is the Cure. How did that come about? I know you all have your story.
Well, we started out volunteering for some other organizations who, were promoting breast cancer and breast health. But, we realized that we need to have a bigger impact in our community. And so we started as a faith-based initiative. We didn't have a whole lot of volunteers at the time. We didn't have a whole lot of resources, but we wanted to reach as many of our women and families as possible. So we started it as a faith-based initiative. We said, we need to go where the women are, when the women are in church. And so we started partnering with our churches and providing them with literature, and got them to support us. We call it Praise Sunday. And so at least one day out of the year, that we provide literature, we provide speaker or video, and they present that at service so that they can get the word out about breast health, and not only celebrate patients and survivors, but caregivers and everyone, just so that we can get the word out about. So that's how we started. And so, we started with a handful of churches, and now, sometimes we have to turn churches away. We have so many churches that contact us, but we try not to turn anybody away. We probably distribute well over 10,000 to 12,000 pieces of literature a year.
Right. And we also have some synagogues that reach out to us and some mosques that reach out to us. So we are just targeting faith-based organizations.
Multi-faith, yes.
Yeah, so it's a very faith-based initiative, and so that's how we reach the masses. But all year long, we participate in panels, on radio shows, TV shows. We have events throughout the year, not only for breast cancer patients and survivors, but we have children's events, because breast cancer affects the whole family. We have men's event. We have a men's event called Real Men Wear Pink.
That was great.
Yeah. so that they learn, not only to be caregivers, but to actually, manage their own health because, if they're not healthy, they can't help others. So we support men as well as children. Kerri wrote her book. My mommy has breast cancer, but she's okay. So we prepare, we have events, centered around, the contents of the book. So, our mission is just to try to be out in the community and to spread the word and to help save a life. We provide mammogram screenings throughout the year. We have an event where we bring the van out and we have access. We have partners where we can refer women who can't get to that event. So we are just trying to do the best that we can to help save a life.
That is great. That is great. So tell people how, if people want to make a donation, if people want to volunteer, how would they go about that?
They can go right to our website, which is www.praisesthecure.org. And right now we have a fundraiser going on. It's a wine fundraiser. We've partnered with One Hope Wine, and they are going to give us 10% of the proceeds of any purchases that happen between now and December. And you can go right on our Facebook page and actually see that, as well as our website. And then there's also just the regular donation button on our website page. We are a 501c3 nonprofit, so it's coming up to the end of the year. You want to get those tax deductions in.
Yes, Kerri, please tell them about the tax deductions.
That's right. And Giving Tuesday is coming up.
Yes, Giving Tuesday is coming up. We are registered with Amazon, so if you purchase from Amazon, go through smile.amazon and pick Praises the Cure as the benefactor. A portion of your sales or what you spend money on from that will also come to Praises the Cure. But we are a grassroots organization, and we use our donations really to give right back to the community. We have a My Sister's Keepers program where we try to give every patient either an inspirational package, whether or not it be blankets, journals, T-shirts, cups. We try to do something really for the whole family, because meals, we know firsthand what it's like to go through this disease.
Yes. So, and if you want to buy any collateral for your breast cancer patients and survivors, you can also find lots of great things on the website.
On our story.
That's great. I was going to ask you that. So do you have any upcoming events? Since October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, what have you been doing throughout the month as it winds down? Please talk about all the wonderful activities and fundraisers that you've been doing with your organization.
Right. This year, it's so hard because it was our 15th year, and we had a really
15 years?
15 years. And so we have usually a week of Hope, Health, and Healing. And we had a really great week planned, but COVID obviously put a dent in that, but save the date for next year because we're going to gear up and be ready. So this year we had to do a lot of things virtually. We did 31 days of Hope, Health, and Healing. So if you go to our Facebook page and our Instagram page, you can see facts, inspirational tips just throughout the month. And we've just been speaking like crazy on panels, on the news, on radio, just really trying to get the word out, because people are scared to even go to the hospital to get a mammogram. And like my mother said, this must stop. You can't skip a year because it's COVID. So the hospitals are very safe. If it's time for you to get your mammogram, you've got to get and make your appointment.
Mm-hmm.
Ms. Anita, what would you tell someone who's going through the process now? They've been diagnosed. What would you tell them? What kind of words of encouragement would you give them?
Well, first of all, breast cancer is not a death sentence. We are living proof that breast cancer is not a death sentence. So we, surround yourself with family and friends, and don't, sit around and wallow in it. Just keep moving, keep living, and help others. Encourage others by sharing your story about your journey and what you're going through. Those are the most powerful things, that will help. Be an advocate, just to get out there and help someone else, and it will empower you.
It will empower you. Wow, that is great. So as we wind down, what are some of your final words, Miss Anita? Kerri, what are your final words?
I
You know
was
what? No, I
just,
do. I'm sorry. I have one more question.
oh,
Kerri, Miss Anita and Kerri, are you afraid for your daughters? Like, what do they say in regards to it being maybe genetic, it being passed down? Are you afraid for your daughters, Kerri?
well, my mother and I don't carry the gene. And so I do get worried because we don't carry the gene and we both ended up with a very aggressive and advanced cancer at a young age.
Mm-hmm.
I don't fear for them because I pray. And if I pray, I'm not going to try to worry. But what I will say is that I do not want to see them go through what my mother and I have gone through. I think that would probably crush my heart to have to watch, Madison or Hanaya or my daughter-in-law or my nieces have to endure the pain that we have. So all I can say is that we just have to keep, trying to get the word out, encourage them to take care of themselves, eat right, exercise, put some pressure, on them to do research on Black women so that if they ever were diagnosed, that there be proper drugs for them. Right now, my whole treatment regimen is really based off of white women because Black women don't go in for the clinical trials. So it just so happens, yeah.
That's something.
So we have to participate in these things so that the drugs and the treatments will be available for our children.
Mm-hmm.
Miss Anita?
Most definitely. I'm a big advocate of clinical trials. And, I wouldn't, people have misconceptions that clinical trials are just for sick people, but anyone can participate in the clinical trial. You don't have to be sick. You can be very healthy and still participate in a clinical trial. So that they can just understand our bodies and so that they have more information on what treatment protocols, work best for us. And so I would encourage you, to look into clinical trials, whether you're healthy or whether you, are just starting your journey. Because in our communities, we don't trust anybody. We don't trust clinical trials.
Yes, I was getting ready to say that. I was getting ready to say that's maybe why people are not taking those clinical trials because people are not trustworthy of it. Yes.
They're not trustworthy, but the laws have changed and from significantly from when we had those incidences that really abuse our people in clinical trials. So they're very, very safe now. You from start to finish what's going on, and you can stop the trial anytime. So we encourage as many people to learn about them and to participate if they're able to.
Mm-hmm.
This has been I wish we could have had y'all longer because you gave out so much good information.
Mm-hmm.
Please, everyone, go to praiseisthecure.org and support this wonderful organization. Again, you have 1 minute. What would you like to say? Any final words?
The only thing I would say is that, if God is waking you up in the morning, then you have purpose. Believe, because anything is possible, no matter what you're going through. There's probably a lesson to be learned. Like you said, please go to the website, visit www.praiseisthecure.org. Only together will we win the war on breast cancer.
Right. Become an advocate, for breast health. Like I say, tell your mother, your sister, your aunt, your friend, everyone about breast health. And, ask them. Don't be afraid. We don't like to talk about it, but ask them, did you get your mammogram yet?
Mm-hmm.
So, just be an advocate, volunteer, donate, and just help a sister.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Please get your mammograms, as Ms. Anita and Kerri said, because even though we're in the middle of a pandemic, you can still go to the hospitals. The hospitals are safe. Get your mammogram. It's so important that you get your mammogram and that you put your health first. And I know, especially us as women, we have to put our health first. It's okay to say no. It's okay to have self-preservation and take care of yourself because people feel to realize that if you're there for everybody, who's going to be there for you if something was to happen to you, So make yourself number one on that checklist and go get your mammogram and take care of yourself.
Exactly. Can't help somebody else if you're not healthy. So.
That's right. That's right. Thank you, Miss Anita. Thank you, Kerri. Also, they're
Thank you for having us.
Yes, support them good. They're also the best accounting firm.
Thank
you gotta go and support them, everybody. They are women that wear many hats.
Yes. Thank you so much.
All
Thanks,
right.
Boomy.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
All right.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you, everyone, for watching. You're watching, and this is a special edition of Convo with the CEO. We wanted to give you more information about breast cancer awareness. Please don't forget to support this wonderful organization, praiseisthecure.org. Support them, get your mammogram, and remember, say, I love me some me. See you next week.